Welcome to tonight's episode of Media Axxess Tonight, June 20th, 2010. President Obama told NBC on June 7, 2010 that he doesn't talk to experts about their potential ideas to solve the oil crisis because, quote, it's a college seminar, unquote, but because he desires to know who's, and I quote again, ass to kick. This is because President Obama believes more in a UFC type of philosophy than actually solving the crisis. But as we all know by now, like healthcare, the financial crisis, and apparently knowing not to touch the oil from the Gulf because it contains benzene, these things are all just too complicated to wrap our minds around. What seems to be Obama's new tagline, yes, it's complicated, but we can kick whoever's ass it is that complexified it in the first place, is slowly but surely doing nothing to save our Gulf. The MMS who inspected the oil rigs and took the profit, having their hand in both the forensics box and the cookie jar, are on the spotlight for latest blame. Yet again, like with how the media handled Katrina, in order to make ourselves look at least decent for not focusing on how this problem will get solved, we are simply putting the horse before the cart, as we like to think, by finding as many scapegoats as possible. Because, in our view, if they started it, they should damn well fix it, right? I mean, yes, oil is pumping into the Gulf at 5,000 barrels a day, killing dozens and by now hundreds of underwater creatures, and slowly wiping the idea of the Gulf from the future history, but hey, at least we'll fucking know who was to blame. Oh, who? Well, it's complicated. But you can watch the action take place, all 5,000 barrels a day, pumping to the Gulf on a live webcam stream from BP's own website. At least we got that covered. Obama told Politico.com that this event will, quote, shape how we think about the environment for years to come, unquote, which seems to be as nothing much to worry about, like we've already been doing. How do we know BP and MMS didn't allow this event to happen in the first place, forcing us in a more environment-driven philosophy by our own choice because of what they've done, thereby allowing ourselves to give up a few items, landmarks, maybe even liberties, in order to bring about a more Brave New World-esque lifestyle? But I get ahead of myself. There's no New World Order conspiracy. The government said so. We should always trust our government. They have our best interest in mind. I mean, if they can't even come together to solve an oil crisis because it's so complicated, how could they actually take over the world? Right?
Fucking Obama. A small town of Conductor in Nevada suffered a brain amoeba epidemic when their water supply was found to be contaminated with raw sewage. There were 67 deaths. Both adult and children reported total. The amoeba seemed to hold their brain hostage and destroy it from the inside. The water system has been flushed, and the town is hoping their mayor won't let it happen again, rather than doing something about it themselves. But what can they do, really? They're just people. In other news, ICP, otherwise known as Insane Clown Posse, released a track called Miracles, in which they proclaim their distrust and disbelief of science, more specifically, scientists. To quote themselves, quote, fucking magnets, how do they work? I don't want to talk to scientists. Y'all motherfuckers be lying and getting me pissed. Well, ICP, from a non-scientist POV, an atom is where all that datum is stored, you see. Protons and neutrons, electrons, oh my. Positive repels positive, attracts negative on the fly. If you flip those around, it works exactly the same. Negative repels negative, but attracts positive to tame. All of this together creates a magnetic force. You can't see it, but can feel it, though can't pinpoint the source. Electricity works pretty much the same way. That's why Maxwell put them together like the sun and the day. Now we have a unified force coined by the scientific community, the electromagnetic force. We were supposed to interview astronomer Abigail Hours, but she was called to a conference this weekend. We were able to get our next guest from what was supposed to be next week's episode, biologist David Riskin. Here's the interview with Horselover Darkly and Dr. David Riskin.